Sorry guys. So again, we talked about the system integration issues. For example, you have digitization devices or the specific needs. However, you lack the sharing opportunities between the different devices. Short-term focus instead of long-term sustainability and viability of the company. You focus only on the short-term benefits and you tend to lose the longer-term benefits from a system. And this is why I was telling you earlier about the business process engineering that needs to redefine the process from scratch rather than just make it electronic. I mean, if you have specific business rules that are currently outdated, why insist on keeping those outdated business rules in the process? Remove them. Scope creeping in the deployment of the change plan, and of course missed deadlines. You arrange for a specific deadline and you cannot easily get it. And some ugly truths that you have to consider. 49% of IT projects fail, all in all. The total US project that has failed, the amount is calculated by the same chaos report as it stands for. It's estimated to be $55 billion. 55% up to 3/4 of IT projects fail to meet their objectives. 40% of the projects are never fully implemented. Executives from more than 100 organizations have stated that the cost to support the software implementation, especially in digitization projects, were 20% the original estimates, which sort of destroyed the ROI, the return on investment that was initially calculated. 86 of the projects failed for reasons that have nothing to do with technology itself. And this again goes back to what I said before. You have to consider not only the human factor, but you also have to consider the other issues in re-engineering or in changing these processes. And last but not least, 32% of project failures occur only because the project management skills were poor or were not relevant to the situation. So, said that, I think that we should have a break, 10-minute break, 10 or 15-minute break, and come back. Okay? Ωραία. Okay, hello again, welcome back. This is going to be the third part of the third session for today, and we will be covering business process management issues, a short introduction to what business process management is, how you can look at the business processes, what the business processes should look like at the end of the day, and why and how you can tackle it in your own organization. Now, so what is a business process? A business process is a collection of relevant and related events, activities and decisions that involve a number of actors in this chain of events, involve a number of resources that are required for these activities to be performed, and that collectively lead to an outcome that brings value to an organization, or brings value to its customers, or brings value to both of them, or imposes a certain risk to all of the above. So that's a generic definition of what a business process is. For example, the order to cash, or the procure to pay, the application to approval, the claim to settlement, the default to resolution, or issue to resolution. These are all processes that make a business. A business has a set of processes in order to make money, to produce, to satisfy its customers, and so on and so forth. So this is a business process. Now, processes and outcomes. Every process leads or should lead to one or several outcomes that are either positive or negative. This means that a certain process will produce a certain output, which output then imposes a certain outcome, which could be either positive, that is delivering value to what you've said before, or either negative, that reduces value and gets value from the customer or the company or the supplier or whichever. For example, let's see the fault to resolution process. For example, certain outcomes of this process are one of the following might be: the fault is repaired without the technician ever intervening in this case. The fault is repaired with minor intervention from a technician the company sends, or the fault may be repaired and fully covered by warranty, or the fault could be partly covered by a warranty. So this means that the company pays something and the client, the customer, pays an additional value, or the fault could be repaired but not covered by warranty at all, so the customer pays the entire service. Or finally, the fault could not be repaired at all, and the customer either withdrew the request or moved on to buy another device, or so on and so forth. So you can see you have very different outcomes in this case. The process produces some outputs, and these outputs have some specific outcomes. Now, let's see it in a more graphical way. Here in the center you can see a process. The business process involves either many or zero actors, and has some and consists of some certain objects that take place in this process. Then this process, as we've said, produces an output and delivers an outcome. This outcome would be either positive, which gives value to one or many customers, or negative, which reduces value from the company or the customers, or both. And then again, the business process also consists of some activities, one or many activities. A specific process is a set of manipulations, for example, that take place, and these manipulations have some certain events that triggers them to start, or triggers them to continue, or triggers them to stop. And last but not least, a business process consists of specific decision points where an executive of the company or of the client or of both takes a decision in order to move on forward or move on with another process, with another approach, or with another activity within the process. Some notes, some business process management notation. There are a lot of sort of standardized graphical notations for drawing business processes and drawing them in a workflow. These are the most common notations that are heavily used by everyone, and actually BPMN is the most common and most heavily used notation in this case. So we have flows between different objects. We have events. For example, the circle is the starting point, and the intermediate circle has two specific rounds, and the end circle, in some cases like this one depicted here, or it's a solid circle. Then we also have activities. The activities are depicted with a rectangular, like this one here. It is either a task or a process, as is on the right rectangular, which consists, as you can see here, the plus sign consists of different sub-tasks, some tasks that comprise this process. Then we have gateways. For example, the gateway is where you take a decision, or the fork joint where two decisions meet, or one task is broken down to two different tasks or two different gateways. And the last point we have, at the last point of this workflow, we have an inclusive decision, merging decision, where two or more tasks are merged into one or concluded. Then these objects are somehow connected. We have the sequence flow, which is a straight arrow. We have the message flow, which is a dotted arrow, and we have an association, which is a dotted line between two tasks, for example, or two different activities. Now let's see a very, very simple example here. I just took it from Wikipedia, from BPMN in Wikipedia. So we activate a working group. This is the start, as you saw, that's the start point. It's the start event, as you can see here. Then this working group is, since it's active, we call it to and summon it on a specific date. It's an intermediate event, this one, which leads us to the checking the status of the working group, and then this leads us to a specific decision. If it's still active, we continue with another task. If it's not active, it ends the process over there. We also have an issue list. Over here, the issue list, this drawing depicts specific documents that have to be sent to this working group. And since the working group is still active, the arrow above, the yes arrow above, then this leads us to another task that has to be performed, and then it is filled with documentation, with information through this list. As you can see, this is a very, very simple process. This is a very, very simple process that is executed here, but you can understand that the sky is the limit in your specific case. You can pretty much do whatever you want with the processes. You can really depict shorter ones or longer ones or whatever the actual situation is in your organization. Now, what is the business process management and why we really need it? Actually, BPM is a set of principles, of methods and of tools that will help us design, analyze, execute and monitor business processes in a standardized way. Well, at the end of the day, what this really is a standardized methodology to depict how things are done in a specific setting, who is responsible of doing these things, and what the interactions are among the different actors and the different stakeholders in the company. The thing is that we really need BPM in order to help us see in a better way, to help us understand how things are done and to better put our message across and how things should be done. And of course, we can really see and we can really solve any issues if we have it in front of us, and if we can really see how things are done in the company. And additionally, we can also analyze the issues. We can also make projections. You can also measure the performance and so on and so forth. So we can really execute a lot of different activities, a lot of ideas there, and we can really manage hands-on this process. Now, again, why? A lot of people say that business process management can use information technologies in order to make value, to make something valuable. So, unfortunately, it's not that easy. We can use information technology once we have the specific processes monitored, depicted. We can update them, or we can upgrade them, and then with the use of information technology, with the application of information technologies, we can change the way things were done in the past, which then this may yield business value to the company. It's not the other way around, or it's not a very abstract method of producing value. Value will only be produced if we can use correctly information technology and apply it on a re-engineer, well, not re-engineer on its own merits, but in updating a redefinition of the processes. Now, how can someone engage in the business process management? There are two different issues. Both of them are actually captured in a lot of ISO-related plans and schemes in companies. And actually, it stems from ISO type of quality assuring plans. The first one is the continuous process improvement. It doesn't put into a question the current process, the structure of the current process, but it seeks to identify issues and resolve them incrementally, one step at a time, and fix one bug or one issue or one thing at a time. This is the incremental change actually, where you have a process and then you try to fix anomalies in this process. Now, the more radical approach comes with business process engineering. Well, it's sort of what you had up to yesterday. You can scratch it off, you can forget it. We will be doing this in another way today. It puts into question the fundamental assumptions and the fundamental principles of the process structures, of the process that that you already have in your company, and contrary to the first one, it tries to achieve a breakthrough approach, for example, by removing tasks or removing rules or removing obligations and so on and so forth. Now, let's see a very easy, a very simple process here and how the business process management works. First of all, let's use a similar to the first one problem, to the accounts payable, purchasing, receiving, and vendoring problem that we discussed in the previous section. And let's try mapping this process. We have the purchasing department. This purchasing department sends a purchase order to the vendor and also sends a copy of the purchase order for information purposes to the accounts payable department. Then the vendor sends the goods to the receiving. The receiving department sends this documentation, all the relevant documentation that we saw earlier, to the accounts payable department. And also the vendor sends the invoice documentation to the accounts payable department and any other relevant documentation that is needed. And then the accounts payable sends the payment in whatever form, may it be a check or an electronic transfer or whatever, or even money deposited to the vendor. So you can see here a very simplistic approach that we are using as an example. Now, let's see how we could re-engineer this process using digital electronic workflows. The purchasing department stores information into a database and sends a purchase order to the vendor. Optimally, this purchase order could have been sent through the database to the vendor, not physically but electronically. The vendor sends the goods physically this time though to the receiving department. Then the receiving department sends the information into the database, enters this information into the database using the relevant forms that have been developed. And then this database sends this information that everything is received in order and everything follows the approach to the accounts payable department, which then sends the payment to the vendor. As you can see, this is a centralized approach that we are using here. It's more easier compared to the first one. In the first one, you would have documents being transferred among the different departments. Now, you only have a database that stores centrally the document once, or all the relevant forms once, and fuses this information to all of those that should check, should monitor, or should receive this sort of information. And then everyone executes the process, executes the task, in the specific process according to the description that they have. Now, how can someone engage in business process management? First of all, the step 0 is to identify a specific process and assess the opportunity for this process to be re-engineered or to be changed. Then we are trying to discover the process, the as-is situation, exactly what this is, how this should be done. We then move on further to analyze the specific process, trying to see what are the steps that are still necessary to be executed, or what are the steps that can be eliminated, or what are the business rules that can be eliminated. Then we move on forward to redesign the process, as we said, building the to-be situation. What is the situation once implemented is going to be? Again, in this step, there are a lot of minor issues that have to be, as we said in the previous section, have to be tackled, like communicating this new process, training all of the relevant actors, fusing this information and getting on board the leadership for this one and all that stuff from the managerial perspective. Then we have the actual implementation of the process, where the process is being implemented company-wide or system-wide or on the level that someone has adopted. And then as a last step is the monitoring and the controlling of the process. Was the process that was developed the correct one, or should we have produced another process or some in a very different way? We should have approached this set of activities. In this case, it should also be mentioned that we have to use some process modeling tools. For example, in the first steps with green here, we are using process modeling tools in order to depict the process, in order to understand the process, and also in order to analyze and model the to-be situation. And then we have process management systems, the blue ones, that manage the process, that manage the way the process is being carried out and the way the process is being monitored. Now, how you can identify a process? We have this triangular here with three levels. In the higher level, in the top level, we have the core processes, the support processes, and in general the management processes. This is the process landscape. In general, what the company produces, how does it make money? What are the key processes in selecting personnel in HR, and so on and so forth. Then in the second level, we have the abstract process models, which is processes like quote handling, how you handle the quotes that are being sent by your vendors, or how you handle the quotes that the company sends to its customers, and so on and so forth. Product delivery or receipt, invoice handling, so on and so forth. And the bottom level, you have the detailed process models, the BPMN, as we saw earlier, which is a detailed quote handling process, for example. This is the utmost detail that we can be in identifying the process. And actually, when we discuss about business process engineering, this is the level that we are addressing, the bottom line. Try to check all the process in its entire detail and try to check what are the steps in this process that can be eliminated, or what are the other steps that should be implemented, should be adopted. Again, process discovery, we then try to find out what the process is and how things are done in a company. For example, in this case here, we have a very, very simple process where the new equipment is needed. The purchasing department issues an order, submits an equipment rental request in this case to the company clerk in order to actually get all the approvals and create the purchase order. And this purchase order, this is actually the first of this one, in what we've said before. And this process here depicts a very, very simple step in order to get a purchase order from this company. Again, we can see that this is a very simplistic approach, but this can be elaborated at the level of detail that the company wants or the specific case requires. Then this previous process should be analyzed. This analysis can be done with many different things. We have qualitative analysis with two different approaches, qualitatively and quantitatively. Qualitative analysis includes root cause analysis, peak charts, registration of issues, fishbone approaches, and generally speaking, we usually collect the ideas or have everyone sat on the table on the single table, carry out a workshop discussing with the owners of the processes and discussing how this process, what are the problems with this process, or how this process could benefit from improvements or from reductions or whatever. We also have a quantitative analysis in this respect. We try to analyze the flows there, both in terms of physical movements of the assets, and see where bottlenecks arise. And this is also executed through queuing analysis, trying to understand where the queues are being developed and how we can reduce the queues. And generally speaking, we use a lot of simulation tools in order to simulate the not only the current but also the to-be situation, so that we can both understand what the current situation is and also what the new situation will be like, or what problems the new situation will induce, and so on and so forth. Now, additional issues that may arise: criticality. You have to carefully consider what are the critical issues in the specific case, in the specific process. If it's a very critical process, then you should consider it twice before making any change, or you have to be super precise in what changes are requested, are required. Benefits. What sort of benefits are brought into this new process? If the process is beneficial, or if the simulation proves that the process is beneficial or not. In generally speaking, you don't mess up with good processes, or you try to, as much as possible, be cautious in what changes you implement. Usability in terms of internal competencies. Will your people be able to adapt to the new process or not? For example, the case that we used earlier in this training, we said about someone that is not quite up to the speed of using computers or new technologies. Well, if we go out there and ask them to use, I don't know, notepads or iPads or whatever, will he be able to use them or not? If not, then we cannot really change this process. Or if the mentality, if the culture asks for a lot of documentation or a lot of approvals before anything pretty much happens in a company, this cannot be easily changed or easily adapted. The same exists and is true for the external actors of this process. For example, discussed earlier about someone within the company. Let's say that this company is quite pro-innovation, really likes new products, new technologies, and really adopts, and you have a considerable buy-in from the leadership to do all that. What about your customers, or what about your suppliers? Do they have the same attitude towards new technologies? Or new processes or new cultural perspectives there? If not, then again you have to consider twice before implementing any change whatsoever. The last issue, I think this is the worst idea to base your decision on. However, a lot of companies seem to do it. It has to do with the image. Many companies adopt changes in their processes in order to show off a better or a more tech-savvy image. Well, if you haven't considered the issues that we discussed earlier, I'm not quite sure how this can be to the benefit of the company, or whether this can induce other problems and increase the risks for the company. So you can see that there are a lot of many different issues that someone has to consider before changing the process, or even during the assessment, during the analysis of the process or of the to-be process. And all of these things have to be or can be addressed in developing the new process. For example, you may have as we said before, someone that he's not or she's not that tech savvy. However, if you can couple this with someone else who is tech savvy and can stand up for these new technologies, then you could use it. But then again, these are all things that someone has to consider when he's re-engineering, when he's managing the business processes, and he tries to improve these business processes. Now, this concludes this session. We had a little bit of faster going through. We seem to have finished 10 minutes earlier. However, if you need any question or if you have any question, feel free to ask them. No? Okay. So, it was a pleasure seeing you. We will talk probably next week in the next session for the single windows. I would like to thank you very much for your participation and your attention. If you need anything, or if anything or any question comes up to you, please do feel free to send us to any of the trainers of these sessions, trainers, to send in any question whatsoever, and we will try to reply to this question, to any question as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.